Welcome to Charts Today. My name is David Linton, and today's edition for Wednesday, the 6th of December, comes to you from London. And we start by looking at the dollar as always. And dollar just starting to stage a little bit of a recovery. We talked about this on the cloud, the lagging line just coming through now. We'd like to see a few days, of course, for the lagging line to be through. We do still have downside targets hanging over us, but finding quite strong support here on the point and figure chart. So at the moment, the key thing is for the dollar to get above this high that we saw in early November. If we do that, then that's the signs of a higher high and a higher low and a reversal in trend. But for the moment, it's still too early to call. And euro, conversely, that was the dollar index, of course. Euro, conversely, this is euro dollar. So we are just seeing the euro dollar just falling away a little bit here and below the cloud, so still bearish there. And Japanese yen, dollar just weakening a little bit here, having had a very strong run of late, just coming back into weaker territory. So we are seeing a little bit of a sell-off in the dollar. Sterling falling lower against the US dollar, hitting quite strong resistance around this level on the long-term chart. And if we look at the euro rate, sterling also just falling lower here as well. Against the Swiss franc just coming below the cloud, against the Australian dollar bearish in the short term as well. Taking a look at Bitcoin, we tweeted yesterday the new upside target for Bitcoin. We're seeing here 13,500. That's another 9% upside. But if you really want to watch Bitcoin because it's moving so quickly, you need to go to the 1 minute chart and just hit the T key on your Updata system and start playing with the box sizes. So this is the 20 by 3, 25 by 3, no clear targets here. If we go to the 10 by 3, which is a more reasonable box size, again a shortage of upside targets. 5 by 3, we do have some upside targets, one activated to 12,545 and another one activated to 12,72. So we do have these short-term upside targets, but we also do have downside targets. This one not yet activated, this little one activated. So Bitcoin could go either way today. Just keep an eye on those short-term charts if you're trading Bitcoin. Quite a roller coaster. The S&P 500 index looking strong still above the cloud on all three time frames. The Nasdaq not looking as good, gave up most of its gains at the opening yesterday by the close, so we're still bearish on the short term on Nasdaq. The Dow is holding its bullish position, but again sold off yesterday, and the Russell 2000 was down 1% yesterday, so that we're seeing the broader stock market just suffering as well. The future down 0.17% on the S&P future, and the Nasdaq E-mini down 0.4%. So it does suggest we've got further to go on the Nasdaq, and we'll possibly see a lower opening today. FTSE 100 also set to open lower. The futures are down, and we are seeing here we're bearish below the cloud with downside targets of 1.8% and 5.2%. The FTSE 250 also just starting to look bearish below the cloud on the short-term chart. The DAX hitting resistance as well and is down this morning, and the futures market as well. Nikkei falling below the cloud, so that's bearish. Hang Seng below the cloud, well and truly that's bearish on the short term. Shanghai also falling below the cloud, and just starting to look a little bit worrying on the medium term chart. And if we look at the Sensex, also bearish in the short term. Signs of a little double top forming there, so that's a bit worrying for the Indian market. Australian market going lower as well. Brent crude sitting at 62.73, so we're bearish there. WTI also just below the cloud on the short term. US nat gas sitting at 2.94, up slightly, but still struggling to get above this $3 mark. And copper is still bearish below the cloud, and the medium-term chart on copper just starting to look a little bit worrying. Taking a look at gold, gold is bearish in the short term, medium term wandering into bearish territory as well. Downside target was almost activated yesterday, but we closed enough not to activate that downside target to 11.27, but we do still have some pretty scary downside targets at the short-term chart to 12.47, 12.43, 12.22. Long-term charts still looking okay. Silver also looking bearish, and the medium and long-term charts here clearly bearish, so looking less good than gold. US Treasury yields fell sharply yesterday, sitting at 2.33%. Apple bearish below the cloud. Google also bearish below the cloud. Amazon now bearish below the cloud as well. Facebook gone from the mid 180s to the low 170s, so that's looking bearish. And Microsoft also looking bearish. So a lot of the tech stocks selling off quite significantly. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.